Hello again, it's Claire and I'm here to help you with another session of crochet. I thought before we started I'd show you what's outside my window where I work. I don't know whether you can see. This is North East England, East Yorkshire. Today it's really snowy and cold. I've managed to find a spare half hour to have a chat with you and show you some more crochet. Not that I should be doing my tax return right now, oh no. But the baby's asleep, so I thought I'd have a bit more chat and crochet and let you know how I'm getting on. So, hi, I'm back again with some crochet. I thought that it would be interesting for us to have a bit of a chat and for you to have a look at the way that I crochet. Now, I know some of you are going to be itching to get on with things and you're thinking to yourselves, Claire, why aren't you showing us what we can do? But hold your horses a second. Actually, what I want to do is to show you what it looks like to crochet. Now, this might sound absolutely ridiculous, but remember that this is a tutorial for those who are beginning. When you think about skills like crocheting and knitting and sewing, they were traditionally taught on your mother's knee or your grandmother's, and it's the type of skill that was passed on generally woman to woman down through the generations. So there's lots and lots of different ways that you might crochet or knit or any of those different things, and they're all right. That's one of the things that I like about it, that there's no particular way that you have to do something. But when you learnt to crochet in the past, you will have spent a lot of time seeing your mum or your granny or your aunties or your sisters crocheting, so you would have a feel for what the actual tempo and kind of look of crochet is like. Whereas these days, actually, it's not something that you tend to see unless you go out and search for something on YouTube or you know somebody who crochets. And I think it's really important that you get an idea of what it actually feels like, because actually, even though I'm sure a lot of you will have decided that you want to learn how to crochet, I'm a bit caught up here, hang on. Actually, it's not simply an intellectual skill. The best way that I can describe it is like learning to drive. When I decided I wanted to learn to drive, I read the highway code, and as soon as I got in the car I felt confident that I knew what I was doing. However, actually getting my muscles to do the right things at the right moment was pretty tricky. And I used to get frustrated at how stupid I seemed to be when everyone else could pretty much drive without any support or help, or so it seemed to me. But actually, crochet is a really similar skill. These days I can get in a car and I can drive anywhere, and my muscles know what they're doing and my brain knows what it's doing, and I don't consciously have to think to myself, right, now it's time to put my foot on the pedal, this is how hard I should press, now it's time to press the gas and balance the clutch. My brain kind of does it automatically, and that's exactly what happens with crochet. You do have to develop what I've heard described as muscle memory, which I think is a really good description, because eventually, once you're a little bit more experienced, you'll be able to crochet without really thinking about what you're doing, and that's when it becomes the kind of meditative, calm hobby that you hear people describe it as, and it really does get to that stage. But when you first start, it's really front-loaded, so you'll be thinking to yourself, this is impossible, I don't know how women do this. Unlike a lot of hobbies, all the difficult bits with crochet, in my experience, are in the first couple of weeks. So really, I'm showing you this so that when you go through the long dark night of the soul, and I'm sure you will, right at the beginning, and when you've thrown your crochet across the room several times, and when you think to yourself, you can't learn this, it's some sort of witchcraft, and when you think to yourself it's impossible, actually I'd like you to come back to this little clip and I'd like you to watch what it looks like to crochet, and I'd like you to Google and watch other videos about crochet to see the movements that you make. Excuse me a second, that's my silly cat. I'm going to have to go and shut the door. Back again, I couldn't leave him there, otherwise he'd spend the whole time moaning. So, what I was saying was, you will find crochet tricky in the first instance. But eventually, if you persist, you will get the movements, and your muscles will kind of remember what they need to do. I know my experience was my mum taught me to knit, and she was self-taught and not very confident about how well she could knit. So when she taught me when I was a little girl, she also taught me the attitude without really, I don't suppose she did it consciously, she taught me the attitude that actually I couldn't knit properly, and that crochet was something that absolutely I couldn't do. When I got to be in my mid-30s, I suddenly decided that I wanted to have a go at crochet, so I bought a book by Erica Knight, which was, you know, in hindsight, a really good start. I would really recommend Erica's books. And I tried to teach myself, and I must admit, I had a go, I put it away, I stuck it in a drawer, I had another go, I chucked it across the room, I swore a lot. I decided that I wasn't able to crochet, and my mum had been right after all. Eventually, one of my husband's aunties who can crochet spent 10 minutes showing me how she crochets. Now, she did try and teach me, but it was too much of a small amount of time and I couldn't keep going back. But when I did keep persisting, when I did see what I was doing first of all, I recognised that I was making the same types of movements that Auntie Pauline was. So that was how I knew that I was on the right track. So this is why I'd like you to watch other people crochet if you get the opportunity, because I think it's really important. And when you feel as though you're doing what it looks like, because the movements you make in crochet aren't something that you kind of make in everyday life, then I think you'll have cracked it. Fab, thank you. See you later.